Our next two speakers are jumping in here. They're not on the program, so I'm going to read a longer bio, but they're both going to be speaking about Helena, and you'll learn better from them what it's all about. But it's in keeping with the same theme of this millennial movement and this younger generation and their perspectives, and they're going to tell you quite a bit about it. The first member that's coming up is Henry Elkus. He's the founder, CEO, and chairman of Helena. Helena is a community of 30 world-class leaders. Half of their members are under the age of 25, and each represent a different field. Members include General Stanley McChrystal, actress Chloe Grace Moretz, and Nobel laureate Myron Scholes, along with Fortune 500 executives, other Nobel laureates, and acclaimed activists. Henry is a contributor to and the youngest panelist on the Wall Street Journal's online small business expert panel. Including other panelists are the Wharton professor Carl Urich and University of Chicago Booth School of Business professor James Schrager. Henry also sits on the advisory board of the forthcoming Holt Prize Fund. Prior to Helena, Henry was the COO and director of philanthropy at Unlimited Limited Clothing, a global crowdsourced high-fashion streetwear retailer with dedicated philanthropic missions. Interestingly, he also didn't go to high school like a lot of us. He attended Stanford University's online high school while competing for 4 years on the international ski tour, ski racing circuit. He's currently a 21-year-old undergraduate at Yale University. So thank you for joining us, Henry. Our next guest is Sam Feinberg. Sam is the COO of Helena. He's a former world champion public speaker and debater. He's spoken dozens of times at universities and oration chambers around the world, including the English-speaking Union in London, the United Nations in Bangkok, and the world-famous Oxford Union. Before Helena, Sam partnered with VC firms to co-found the Devise Company, a consultancy and mentorship network offering services to college startups across the Ivy League. Sam is currently a third-year undergraduate at Yale University. So some interesting guys, and Helena is about to be explained.
Thanks, everyone. So it's a pleasure to talk to you all today. We're going to be talking about something that we've been operating for about a year now. We haven't actually talked publicly about it yet, so it's exciting for the first round. So let me take you back about a year ago. I was sitting in college at Yale, and I wanted to do something that would have real impact. And I didn't really think about, am I going to create a for-profit company or not-for-profit company? I wanted to think about, how am I going to affect the most lives around the world positively? So instead of creating something, I wanted to go to the other organizations that had the ability to do so. So I went to the UN, I went to the Kremlin, I went to the White House, and I learned quite a lot. And there's three things particularly that I became extremely passionate about. The first is that over half of the world's population is under the age of 25 years old, which is a stat that a lot of people don't know. It was released by the UN about a year and a half ago. Sam and I are 20 and 21 years old, and that demographic is predominantly in the third world countries. But what that means is that every single global issue, every single trend is predominantly going to affect our generation. And interestingly, our generation is spearheading the social movements and the technologies that are solving these existential crises. However, the people, the incredible young people that Sam and I have met throughout our lives don't attend these world leadership forums for a host of reasons, and we want to change that. The second thing is intellectual diversity. I strongly believe that the definition of innovation happens when one person of a specific skill set collaborates with someone of a completely separate skill set, not when two people who do the same thing sit together. And then the third thing is I strongly believe that changing the world and really creating progress has to happen every single day of the year. You can't just have a conference once because there's no follow-up. You need to create a community that's sustainable. So that's what we did. So I founded an organization called Helena. It has 30 members a year. Half of the members are incredible, bona fide, real world leaders under the age of 25. And the other half are over the age of 25. And what's incredible about the group is that every single one of these members are from a completely separate field. Most of these individuals never met each other before joining the group. There's a nice little transition. Instead of having a single conference once a year, these people actually communicate weekly. They communicate in small groups, and they come up with real ideas, and those ideas are often implemented. And as Sam will say, you can come up to us afterwards, we can talk for hours about the stuff that's come out of this. But what I'd like to do today is just kind of run through some of the members that we have, and then Sam's going to come up and explain an exciting initiative and the reason that we're at this conference. So I'll start with some of the members. So this is Chloe Moretz. She's the highest paid actress under 30 years old. So over 100 million fans that she has access to online. And she's currently very involved in politics. She's one of Hillary's biggest supporters, and she's been very vocal there. Nick Delosio, 18 years old, he won the Wall Street Journal World Innovator of the Year. The youngest guy ever to get VC funding at age 15. He sold a $30 million artificial intelligence company at age 17. Then went to Yahoo, and under Marissa Mayer's wing, launched Yahoo News Digest, which is the most downloaded news application. What he's done is, through a proprietary AI formula, shrunk long-length articles in the news into digestible kind of bite-sized areas. This is something that Stanford PhDs were working on for 10 years, and he beat them in his basement. Yeonmi Park escaped North Korea when she was 15 years old. Since then, she's kind of been the face of her oppressed people. Hundreds of millions of people have seen her speak online. She keynoted the Oslo Freedom Forum and the One Young World Forum. She has a New York Times bestselling book. Divya Nag is the youngest executive at Apple. She's the head of Apple Health at age 23 years old. She pioneered pluripotent stem cell technology, which allows for testing of drugs on human organs without having the human, which is an incredible feat. She also co-founded StartX Med, which is one of the top accelerators in the medical space. And she did this as a freshman dropout of Stanford, and then Stanford then invested in both of her projects before she went to Apple. Timothy Huang has achieved prominence in the political sphere before he turns 25, which is interesting because in DC it's very hard to have a position when you're young. And he's done this through data. He has a company that's valued at $120 million that categorizes the effect of legislature actions on businesses and communities. And he's now transitioning to do this in China. He launched it from a Motel 6 a couple of years ago, and he's grown into an absolutely incredible organization. Arjun Mehta, most known for exiting an over $200 million company at the age of 16, which pioneered in-app purchasing called PlaySpan. Then he created an online education tool which the UN used officially, and now he's doing an incredible decentralization of music startup. Vitalik Buterin is one of the leaders of the cryptocurrency and decentralization movements. He's in the news right now. He has the third highest pre-sale of anything in history, $18.4 million. He's the founder of Bitcoin Magazine, Bitcoin Payments. But his main thing is Ethereum, which is a decentralization platform that has his own currency, which is absolutely incredible. And he won the World Technology Award at age 20, beating Mark Zuckerberg in the process. Timothy Donner, since he was 16 years old, he's spoken nearly 23 different languages. So he's the world's youngest hyper-polyglot. He's also taken this skill to the geopolitical front. So working with the UN, he was involved in the Iran situation as well. But he's also an entrepreneur, and he's working combining virtual reality with language learning to use an immersion processor called Fluent World, which is an absolutely incredible organization. He's keynoted speeches at Apple and SAP. Nancy Liu, one of the most accomplished young female CEOs. She's 25 years old. She has 2 companies that have been absolutely incredible. The first, Nanoly Bioscience, created a polymer that makes it so that vaccines don't need to be refrigerated under extreme temperatures, which can save thousands and thousands of lives, especially in places like Africa where there's extreme heat and people need the meds. And the second one is a digital signage company based out of Los Angeles called Nplug. And they make, if you go to a restaurant, have a digital menu, they make that. Shield Tile is an incredible venture capitalist. By the age of 24, and you can see what he's done, he's went early on Snapdeal, which is a $5 billion e-commerce platform in India, Andela, which was in the news because Mark Zuckerberg just led Andela's big round with the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. It was the first film kind of impact investment that Zuckerberg did, and Shield was behind that from the very beginning. He's also a philanthropist already with his own foundation. And here are some of the older members, and I'll go a bit quicker through these. So Jarl Mohn, CEO and president of National Public Radio, he founded E-Network. Myron Scholes, Nobel Prize winner in economics. Sylvia Earle, who I'm sure all of you know, she's absolutely incredible. Brian Grazer, one of the, if not the most successful producer of all time in Hollywood. He's done some incredible films. Deepak Chopra, as you all know. General Stanley McChrystal, one of the most interesting people you'll ever meet. Led the Joint Special Operations Command during Iraq and Afghanistan. Beth Comstock, right now #2 at General Electric, board of directors of Nike. She was on the founding team of Hulu, one of the most powerful women in business. Jocelyn Zeitz, director of Caring. He's also co-founder of the B Team, which is probably a lot of you guys know, a sustainable business cooperative of some of the largest companies in the world. We also have this thing called the Brain Trust. You can come up to me afterwards because there's tons and tons more members that we can talk about. But in the interest of time, I want to get Sam on the stage to talk about why we're here, what we're doing, and all that.
Sure. So Barkley, this is the signal to please switch off the feed. Thank you very much. So I want to answer two questions, just briefly. The first is, what do we do with all these incredible people? And the second is, why are we here? Why are we at our day? So what we do, and the core of what we do, is we arrange meetings. And those are every single week, normally small scale, 2 or 3 members, sometimes virtually, sometimes in person. For example, a week and a half ago, we had dinner with 6 of the members in San Francisco. Some incredible stuff came out of that conversation. Again, I would love to talk to absolutely anyone inside this room or out about any of the stuff that's come out. In the interest of time, we're going to focus on one in particular that has special relevance to the people here today. But before that, I'll run through a couple of things. So for example, we're in talks with a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company to use Nancy's technology that allows the vaccines to be transported in high temperatures without denaturing. Because traditionally, that technology has been used in factories in the Western world, which has provided great economic benefit, but not a whole lot of humanitarian benefit. We think we'd like to change that. We think we're going to be able to. We're also working with a couple people in our group on this think-to-text machine. So basically, it combines a simple EEG with some breakthrough deep learning AI platforms. It allows you to think, and you get text or videos based on what you're coming out with. So that they're prototyping that now, which is obviously pretty interesting. But all that aside, there's one thing in particular that we wanted to talk to you guys about today, and that's the prize that we're doing. We knew we wanted to do a prize. We knew we wanted to pick a global issue and try and impact it. And so we were thinking with these members about what global issues were important, what was pressing, and I think we came to the same conclusion that a lot of you guys here today came to, which is that, look, the smog is thickening, the oceans are rising, and the clock is ticking on our future. And as far as all the global issues that are incredibly important today, the one that we thought was the most important, the most time-sensitive to start working on now was climate. And so what we wanted to do is pick someone in our space where we're very good at, very strong, pick someone 25 years old or younger who is pioneering a technology with the potential to have some sort of breakthrough for-profit application in a way that would meaningfully reduce atmospheric greenhouse gases. So that could be preventing them from ever being emitted. It could be taking them out of the atmosphere. And we wanted to make this a prize unlike any other prize because while we love the work that a lot of prizes, so for example, the X Prize we're huge fans of, also doing something in carbon. We love that work. We didn't think that was where we were best positioned. We thought we could best take our assets and do something a little bit differently. So where our prize begins is after it's awarded. So over 12 months, we'll have applications, we'll select someone, but once this person or team wins, they get the following. One, they get through our lovely and committed partners, $2 million in pro bono consulting from the Boston Consulting Group. We're in the process of negotiating an unlimited deal with Google X, through which they'll be able to use Google X's state-of-the-art, world-class, literally best in the world laboratories and facilities for hardware and software prototyping and evaluation of the tech behind the idea. We're also pairing them up with industry experts and mentors. So we have a Harvard professor emeritus. We have the senior editor of the MIT Tech Review. We're looking to add business people, grow the advisory board, and give them hands-on mentoring from people that understand both the science and the business to help them to succeed. In addition, we're also giving them lifelong membership of this group in this community. So we want them with us throughout the course of their careers for the next 30, 40, 50 years, or until Henry and I get hit by a piano falling from the sky, and however long we can keep this thing going. So we're also doing that. And then finally, we're financing them. So that'll be likely in the form of a 6-figure grant, and then about 8 figures in VC funding as needed, made available to the winner. So that's something we're working on. We're not ready to announce it yet. It'll be announced in early August, but we were really happy to come and give you guys kind of a preview. We'd love to talk to you about that, about the group as a whole, about any of the other things that we're doing. And I think the best way to use the 5 minutes or so that we have remaining is probably just Q&A. So I think we've got a microphone floating around anywhere. Feel free to ask us anything. And again, once the time runs out, come find us. We're here all week. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming and last minute filling in with an extraordinary presentation that will end up being one of the more remarkable events at the Art Day this year, I dare say. To the point of both of your ages and the fact that you're looking at the world from this perspective, and with your colleagues that are also in a similar demographic, how do we, you know, I'm looking at the collaborative piece here. You know, where does that happen? You said you're a fan of the X Prize, and you know, can you tell us a little bit about Helena and how that's going to connect?
Connect into the climate space specifically, or just talk about collaboration through Helena?
With that as the hierarchy of need.
So the main thing about Helena that we've noticed is it's not mentorship between the older members and the younger members, it's mutual mentorship between both of them. In fact, I've sat down, watched a Nobel Prize winner learn something about his own field from someone else. And then, of course, there's an incredible exchange. There's something that young people are pretty bad at, which is being old. And there's a, so no matter how great we are, no matter the technologies we're pioneering, we simply don't have a lot of experience just living on Earth and understanding things that come with age. And that's the main kind of proprietary thing that the older generation gives us. And that's something that Sam and I don't have and that we're looking for, and we try to surround ourselves with experts in a host of fields. As it pertains to climate change, one thing that we came to this conference specifically for are to find people who want to help advise this prize. We're going to be, you know, finding someone absolutely incredible to support, and we're going to be throwing all of our weight behind it, and part of that is going to be surrounding them with experts in this field. And keeping with the theme of Helena, they don't have to be specifically in the carbon field. They can be in fields that are even tangential, because we believe that intellectual diversity is the most important thing. So that's the main thing we ask from you, is come up to us and talk to us about it. Where the only reason this has happened is that we've hopefully been good listeners. We've tried to listen to everyone we possibly can and extract as much information. Sam and I we're not experts in this field, so we're having our own crash course as well.
Hi guys, my name is Carl Oberg. I'm actually representing Ruaha Power, which we're trying to do some stuff in Africa for some renewable energy. So I got to tell you guys this, listening to you guys and listening to the group before you, one of the things we're trying to do is trying to find investments to help with this next step to energizing 30 million people or whatever. We've been talking to people in your age group, and we've been talking to people, I'm gonna say my age group, and a little bit higher, and the response we've been getting from your age group has been awesome. The response we're getting from the people that should be awesome has been very disappointing. And by the way, I resemble that one comment you said, because I'm 47, but I keep thinking I'm 27. I don't want to get older.
You don't look a day over 20. Well, there's one thing I'll say, and then I guess Sam probably has something to say about it, which is that one thing we noticed through this group is that these younger members don't really know how successful they've been. They're still in this state of it being new, and they still retain the energy of being young and being exploratory about all of the things that are going on. And you know, again, talk to us about the stuff that's been going on in these meetings, because we sit there and watch a decentralization guy at Bitcoin talk with a hyper-polyglot about a new platform, and then they say, let's do it. And that's something that we just haven't seen, and that's the kind of secret sauce of the group. So that's my point kind of on the youth aspect of it.
I mean, just to add, I would hope that, you know, as demonstrated actually by this conference, there isn't really an age limit on caring about the planet, and there shouldn't be. I think maybe the reaction has come from the fact that people from our generation have grown up with this in the news as a pressing issue, and it's something that we've been conditioned, I think, to think about from a younger age. And when you pair that with the fact that with corporate social responsibility, I'm hoping we're seeing a trend where capitalism is moving a little bit further towards kind of caring capitalism, cost plus capitalism, whatever you want to call it, social responsibility capitalism. And I think that there's, like an element of that experience probably comes from the fact that you're dealing with people that are more comfortable with that, with a double bottom line approach rather than just a single bottom line approach on the financial. Okay.
Hi, my name is Yana. I would like to ask you, from your point of view, there's so many great things happening now in environmental protection, but I feel like they need to be united. And you have visited the Kremlin, you've been to the White House. Do you think that in our lifetime there can be a law passed universally that's going to protect the planet and it's going to stand above all financial and political interest?
Well, I'll challenge that. That may be the case. One of the things that we actually subscribe to, and we're not speaking on behalf of the members, we're speaking on behalf of maybe my personal belief, is that there's some truth to being extra governmental, and that change doesn't necessarily have to happen through legislation. I really hope for that law to happen, and I hope for that to happen. I can't speculate on it, but what I can say, the trend has been, and we see the trend with these young individuals that are in our group, they're creating change through business, they're creating change through charities and foundations, and they're not afraid to use the populace and other tools that don't involve governments. And that's, I'm not answering the question saying that that's what's going to happen, but that's one thing that I think the millennials and the younger people are bringing to the equation that didn't exist necessarily before.
Maybe, hopefully, but even if not, we can do it anyway.
So, hi, Phil Kidhill with that motion. So I don't see any representation from the media or any approach to the media, which is maybe an omission that you might want to think about. And I totally agree with your focus on climate change. Even supposedly stellar, the NewsHour, which should be devoting 30 minutes of every program every day to climate change, gets trapped into this other topics that are irrelevant. And so I would encourage you and ask you if you have an approach to the media on your agenda.
Yeah, so the first thing to say is that we do have Jarl Mohn, who's the CEO of NPR, as a member. But the other thing to note is that the group isn't full yet. So it's 30 people and we're at 23 or 24. So media may well be a space that we look to get someone in and strengthen there. But as far as approach to the media goes, this has been a private operation. When we start telling people about it, it won't be. And yes, media interaction and public relations and stuff is all going to be a very necessary step to hopefully, draw support.